all those things, and we've helped him get those things in place very quickly so he can concentrate on his football.
In terms of getting into game time, do you consider resting him, or does he need to start? Does he need that game time this week?
Well, all the midfielders want to play. We're in a situation at the moment where we have a lot of competition in that position, or those positions in midfield. When Key comes back very shortly, we'll have 8 midfielders. Sometimes we play with 3 midfielders, sometimes we play with 4. So you're potentially going to have 4 that are not playing, 5 that are not playing if we just play with 3 midfielders. So there's lots of competition in there, and you know, he's one of 8 very good players that are available for selection.
Do you know your best 11 in that sense?
I think I've got a squad of players that are going to be contributing at different parts of the season. I look at this game and think, and I am thinking, what's the best team to put out for this specific game based on the tactics that are required, the opponent, where we're playing, home or away. So whether I pick him or a combination of him and other midfielders for this game, it will be just for this game. And then we move on and we have Reading next week, and then after that we play Watford, and each game I'll look at and decide what I think's the best for this particular game.
Tottenham have put an end, if you like, to their Wembley hoodoo, if indeed they have one. Harry Kane is in fine form as well. Can I just ask you a bit about him? Where does he compare for you in terms of top strikers in Europe?
Well, he's made a lot of progress in the last couple of years, that's for sure. What I like about him is I think he's a player that works tremendously hard. You know, you see the physical statistics that he puts into the game. I don't know him personally, but I know some of my staff currently working with me here will know him from Tottenham and said what a professional he is and how hard he works at his game. And he reminds me a little bit of Frank Lampard in that way, that he gets the absolute best out of the ability that he's got. So, you know, very pleased that he's play for the England national team. Not so happy that he's going to be playing against us this weekend.
You've worked with some of the top strikers in Europe. Do you think he's up there in that category?
Well, some of the ones that I've worked with have been at the very top for a number of years and have won things at national team level and at European level and at club level as well. So I think he's certainly moving in that direction, but only time will tell if he can end up being one of the, the real greats.
And you'll come up against Llorente as well. How does it feel facing him so soon?
Yeah, well, it'll be good to see him. I had a good relationship with Fernando. I saw him come on last night. It was strange to see him in it was a white kit, but not the white of Swansea. But I'll look forward to seeing him at the weekend, and hopefully he'll be remaining on the bench for the game.
Finally, from me, just something slightly off piece, but something that's been brought to light is time wasting. Goalkeepers perhaps taking longer than the allocated time when they have the ball, and injured players going down in stoppage time. Do you think referees are clamping down on time wasting as much as they should?
Difficult for me to say in general on all those points that you've made. I think some clamp down on it better than others. Some clamp down on it more so in the second half than in the first half. Some teams do it, very early in games to try and take the sting out of the tempo. I think one thing that never gets really dealt with is the length of time the goalkeepers handle the ball. I mean, I think that's been going on for years, where you can see a goalkeeper hold the ball for 16, 17, 18 seconds, and nothing ever gets done about that.
Should something be done about it?
Well, if it's a rule, yes. Yeah. If it's not, then you don't worry about it. But it is a rule, and that seems to be one of the more looser rules in the game.
Paul, you mentioned Llorente. Him and Sigurdsson contributed, I think it was 27 of Swansea's 45 Premier League goals last season. Have you replaced those goals during the window, do you think?
Well, I don't know yet. What is the answer to that? I think potentially, yes, but reality is a different thing. And I think only as the season progresses much further will we know that. We've only played 4 games. We've got a lot more Premier League games to go. We've got cup games to come. So I think time will tell whether that's the case.
Wilfred Bonney played in the under-23s in midweek. How did he come through that? Does that show the attitude that you want?
Yes, I want to get him up to match fitness as quick as possible. So that was an ideal opportunity, a home game at the Liberty. He played 60 minutes, scored a goal, showed all his leadership qualities, showed his strength, showed all the things that we really knew about him. Now it's about getting that match sharpness. He was, tired towards the end of the 60 minutes. He was, a bit achy the couple of days after that. But it won't take him long because he's very focused and he's very motivated to get ready as quick as possible.
Has he got a long, sort of, much to make up, considering his lack of game time for much of last season as well?
Well, if you think about what we do pre-season for players that have had the full 6 weeks, we normally do 45 minutes in the first game and then the second game as well, build it up to 60, and then by the third and fourth game they're getting maybe 75 to 90 minutes then. So, that's all he's played all pre-season is 60 minutes. But what we can do is get him contributing off the bench in these early games, and then as soon as we think he's ready, put him into a game.
In some ways, on the same subject, Rocky Messel, what is the position with him at the moment? Is he still not ready for sort of to go and start again yet?
Well, he was ready to start against Manchester United, and he did start against that game. But like I just said about Renato Sanchez, he's one player of 8 different possibilities that could play in central midfield. So there is a lot of competition, particularly in that area of the field. Less so at the back now with Kyle Bartley injured and Stephen Kingsley going to Hull. Less so in the front positions, although we do have wingers as well. So with a shape change, there is more competition. But there is a lot of competition in that midfield, and he's very much in the reckoning for selection.
Leon Britton, is he the same? He's in the TV studio on Sunday. Is he similar? Is he in contention?
Yeah, absolutely. And what happened with Leon was that he picked up a minor injury problem that kept him out before the Crystal Palace game. The team went into that situation and won the game, so he has to be patient to get back involved. But yeah, absolutely, he's in contention.
Renato Sanchez, there was an awful lot of focus in the aftermath of the game. You do your analysis on how he played. How is he coming through all the sort of flack, or because he doesn't speak much English, is he unaware of some of the hammer he took? And was it a new experience for him in that, at Bayern Munich for instance, he was among a load of sort of superstar players, so maybe escape that sort of individual attention? No,
all players get criticism, and all players get praise. And I'm in a similar situation to that as well. As professionals, we have to make sure we don't get carried away when things are said in a positive way, and sometimes positive over the top at times. And then that's the same on the other end of the scale. When things don't go so well, you don't get too down and despondent when the criticism's at times unjust, sometimes it's just. You just have to try and keep a middle ground. I've not spoken to Renato, and I don't speak to any of the players about praise or criticism in the press. We go about our business of performing, assessing the performance, planning and moving forward to the next game.
Because in a way it was understandable in that he was a big part of a big build-up to a televised game.
Yes. New signing, first game, a lot of expectation. But you can't judge any player over one game, or in his case, just wasn't even one game. It was 70 minutes. Got a long season ahead, lots of games, lots of high quality games, lots of competition, and I'm sure he's going to do very well here.
Did you feel before last night that Tottenham had a Wembley jinx? Do you believe in such things?
Well, no, not at all. I think there's been lots of examples of where teams have moved to either neutral stadiums or new stadiums and have had a period of adjustment. I think one of the facts of why their record is not so good is because most of those games have been in the Champions League, and that's a very, very, very high level. But they played well last night. Actually thought Dortmund also played well. It was a good game, quite open, both defences playing very high at the back, lots of opportunities to go in behind and create opportunities. Going to be a hard game for us, no question.
Before Sunday's game, Hugh Jenkins said that as far as he was concerned, the club was in a stronger position now, the best position, both on and off the field, since they joined the Premier League. Do you understand where he's coming from with that?
I'm not really. I don't really go into all the financial stuff. I've seen those comments, and that's the area and the expertise of the chairman. So, and he's been here a long time, so he knows the quality of the squads that have been here year in, year out over the last 12, 15 years. So, I think he's a good person to be able to give a view on both on and off the field activities.
But you were under no pressure to make a profit in the. As it turns out, Swansea made the biggest profit of all in the transfer window. Did that have anything in your thinking during the window? No,
we never discussed anything like that. It was about, right, who's potentially going to leave, what can we do to bring in. Obviously there are financial restraints you have to discuss in terms of salaries and loan fees and transfer fees and agents' fees. All these things have to be discussed, of course. But it was also about making sure that if we wanted to act in the January window, there would be some funds available. So I was keen to have that flexibility.
All right, so that's part of the thinking as well. So that you've got a bit of money now, hopefully, to spend in January if required. Yeah,
if required, maybe it won't be, but certainly good to have that option.
And as the season goes, how difficult is the prospect of Tottenham at the moment? In that it is at Wembley. It'll be a big experience for some of your players as well, won't it?
Yeah, I think an exciting one. To be able to go to the National Stadium where there's going to be a massive crowd. Clearly, we're playing against one of the best teams, but we've gone away from home recently against very good sides, top 4 sides, and played well and picked up some valuable points as well. So there's no reason why we can't do that on Saturday.
And last one from me. Going back to your Real Madrid days, I noticed Casemiro today has come up to defend Gareth Bale, who was booed again by the Real Madrid fans last night. I'm not saying you were booed, but I'm sure you've seen it happen before. No. How do players have to cope with that? How can they cope with that?
Well, that's a club where you've got to have a lot of personality and a lot of character. Before I went there, I spoke to Claude Makelele about this, and he said out of all the clubs he played for and all the environments he's been in, that's where you've got to have real mental toughness to play there because of the expectation and because of how demanding the home crowd are. And Gareth's not the first, and he won't be the last top player to be booed by the Real Madrid supporters. Cristiano Ronaldo's had it, the Brazilian Ronaldo's had it, Zidane has had it, Figo has had it, and that's the reality of playing for that club.
Does it make you a better player if you come through it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Some have not been able to cope with it, and the real top players come through it, and they're legends for the club.
Is that what Gareth Bale could be?
He can be. He's won 3 Champions Leagues, a league, a Spanish Cup, Super Cups. And in the short time that he's been there, he's achieved a lot, massive amount. And he's fantastic to see a British player go abroad, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and achieve that.
So you can cope?
Yeah, of course. I know Gareth well. He's a tough boy. He's got a lot of talent, but he's focused and hungry to do well for sure.
And you do well Saturday.
Thank you.
Well, I know you're saying about you don't need to talk to the players much about what's going on outside with the media, and probably quite rightly. But a number of former players saying after Sunday's game that they felt that Renato really his confidence is shot to pieces. You obviously know much better than any person do, any of those players do. Is he lacking in that confidence? And if he is, how do you go about rebuilding it? What are the actual practical steps to do that?
Well, I showed a lot of confidence in bringing him here. He knows that. He needs to play games play games, and he's got to work through this period. It's been a difficult year for him because he moved from Benfica to Bayern Munich with a big price tag put on him, a lot of expectation around Europe and the world after what he did in the Euros. And, you know, it didn't work out. It didn't work out for the club, didn't work out for him. But, you know, he has a future at Bayern, and he can help rebuild that future by coming here and playing regularly and rebuilding that confidence through working hard on the training field and getting more opportunities to play. We all believe in him. We think we've got a great young talent here. And, you know, maybe it's going to take a little bit of time. Just the fact that he's moved from one club to another doesn't necessarily say everything's all right, your confidence is back, and get on with it. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time because he hasn't played a massive amount of games. That's going to affect not only his tactical and, you know, sharpness in his brain, but also the physical side as well. So, you know, a little bit of time for him to adapt, and he'll be on the right track.
And is it purely that game time and working hard in training, or do you think he sort of needs a bit of nurturing within inside the club as well? You know, a bit of arm around the shoulder type stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to improve confidence. That can come from within, and the amount of preparation you put in to give you confidence that when you're going on the field you're well prepared. But that can come from outside influences as well. And we've got a really positive environment here, a place where, you know, players can, you know, express themselves, feel open in terms of the communication between us and the staff, and also a place where we like them to express themselves on the pitch as well and to be able to play good football.
Talking to Sam Lucas earlier this week, and he echoed what you were saying about, you know, coming together as new recruits, having to really hit the ground running. I mean, as happened in his case, has happened in Renato's as well. That practically it's not easy necessarily to gel immediately, however hard you're trying to work at it. So do you have to be a bit pragmatic and sort of think, well, actually, after a transfer window, if I've brought in new recruits, I'm going to have to expect that, you know, the first couple of games or the first handful of games after that, I might have to take a bit of a gamble on it?
I think if you, from a point of view of a foreign player, it's even more difficult. You've got you know, he's doing well with his English. He actually surprised me when he came here that it was better than I remembered. We have a Portuguese member of staff that's always there and help him with that integration. But it's very difficult when you move to another country where the language isn't your first language. So he's adapting to that. He's adapting to a different style of football. I think it's German football's closer to English football than Spanish football is. So I think his adaptation will potentially be quicker than Roque's, for example. But yeah, more difficult for the foreign players than it is for example, for Sam. But also challenging for someone that's played, you know, good few seasons at another club, and now he's integrating with, you know, a new coach, new staff, new players, new system of play, new culture. So it would be crazy to think it could happen in one game.
So going on from that, then, are you sort of slightly pragmatic then, that you think, well, you know, I might have to gamble with the first couple of games before they actually do all gel and settle together? Yeah,
I have to exercise a certain amount of patience, but not too much, because, you know, we've got important games and we want to get performances and results.
Yeah, of course. Another thing Sam said was about his journey through, obviously, the various leagues, from non-league through the football leagues, and obviously in the position he's in, delighted to be in this position, and loving the fact he's had the opportunity to second bite of the cherry. But he also feels that he's going to be of huge value. Players like him are of huge value to the Premier League, perhaps to a certain extent more so than somebody who's just come through the system at one particular Premier League club, because of the adversity that he's faced and overcome and that sort of thing. Would you agree with that? Does he have something, an extra something that player who hasn't faced what he's had to face might have or contributed in the Premier League?
I think his journey, his story is interesting. Says a lot about him as a person, I think, and the strong character that he's got, where he had to deal with adversity early in his career, and he took a different pathway and had to really fight to get back to this level. It's clearly a quality that he's got, and, you know, that can help us. Other players, their stories, everyone's story's slightly different. Some have got more experience of playing in Europe. Some have got more experience with their national teams. Some have got only one club experience. You know, we're trying to bring all those different characteristics and qualities together to help the team.
The other thing he did mention again was the team spirit, which we saw at the end of last season. So many of the players have attributed that as a huge factor in ensuring Premier League survival. And he said that he sees that, he's seen that immediately coming into the team. But also he feels very practically that the team's in a much, much better position now than it was at the end of last season, that there's no way that the same situation is going to occur. Is that just a player talking things up, or are you seeing that within them?
No, I sense a good spirit within the group, and it's a very important part of what we do here. And you know, we work on it, we talk about it all the time. And again, with new players coming in, it takes a little bit of time to realign itself and who the real, you know, who the leaders are and how all the different personalities are coming together. So we've got that going on at the moment. Wilfred obviously coming back as a big strong character who was here before. But I've got a nice feel about this group, and I think it will get stronger moving forward.
His gut instinct is mid-table. Is that your gut instinct?
Who said that?
Sam.
I don't know. Just as high as we could, as high as possible. The best finish we can get. Take it each game at a time. Do the best we can. Got to finish better than last year. That's a big ambition of mine.
Best of luck with that long-term, short-term.
Thank you. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.